If you look at the Davos types,
Yep.
the global elite, let's say, they've really got three main objectives. And I could go into great detail on this, but their first objective is to reduce the energy consumption at a global level. Their second, because they're all Malthusians, their second objective.
Explain what Malthusians are.
You need to break that one down.
Okay, so Thomas Malthus was an individual that lived in the 1800s, and he was the first person to articulate this view that if you have exponential population growth in a world of limited resources, you're going to run into some big problems. The only release valve there will be the standard of living. So you need to proactively try to reduce energy consumption, and you need to proactively reduce the birth rate as your duty as a good global citizen.
Proactively how, though? Through war? Through famines?
Well, it used to be.
Well,
Used
so
to be
he
war.
had two kind of levers there.
Yeah.
He said, let's embrace war, let's embrace famine, because it brings down the population to where it's at equilibrium with our resources, which is effed up, obviously.
As it is.
And then he said, and then let's also try to limit the number of kids we have. Instead of having 3 or 4, let's just have 1 or 2. And
China,
and
the largest,
celibacy and all these
one
things.
kid for however many decades.
It used
they
to
had.
be. The one-child policy is gone now, but yeah.
Clearly, because they're
Yeah,
aging.
that was a very Malthusian type of view, which and also, the Club of Rome is what really kind of got these ideas going again in the 1970s with a paper called Limits to Growth that came out in 1972. And the person that wrote that paper was actually the keynote presenter at Davos, at the World Economic Forum by Klaus Schwab.
What year was that?
1973.
That was the first year, or was 71?
71 was the
Okay.
first year. 72, the Limits to Growth came out.
Got
In
it.
73, the gentleman was the keynote speaker at Klaus's event. So, and then the third thing is they just want to usurp power, control, and wealth because they figure that's the way that they're going to achieve those first two objectives and anything else that they want to do. So I think when you look at things through that lens, you ask yourself, why is the Davos type always pro-woke agenda, let's say, right? Why is it that they're always in favor of Disney saying that 50% of their characters are going to be LGBTQ, whatever it is now, right? It's. I'm not saying that they're behind that, but they're really cheerleading it because it helps them achieve that second objective. They don't care.
What was the second objective?
Reduce the birth rate.
Reduce the
They
birth
don't
rate.
care about women being empowered. They just say they want that because that's going to reduce the birth rate. And I'm not saying that women being empowered or 60% of the university students being women is a bad thing. I'll let that, you be the judge. But what I'm saying is that there's a cost benefit that needs to be done. And you have to realize that if there's a benefit, fine, but the cost is going to be lowering the birth rate. If we lower the birth rate, that's going to create macroeconomic problems in the future.
Let's go complete, different angle right now. Not different angle, but the good, bad, and ugly, basically. Give me, if you're a member of the globalist elite Davos, give me, the reason that it's a necessity to have this meeting and what all the benefits are. Give me that. And then give me the counterpoint of, give me the most evil, darkest secret of what they're talking about. You know what I'm talking about? Liberals eating baby. Give me just the most positive and the most negative from this World Economic Forum in Davos.
I don't know what the positive and negative is, the extreme,
Yeah.
but I've done a lot of research on this. I just did a presentation at a live event a couple weeks on it, or a couple weeks ago on it. And I think that it all goes back to one chart. And if you look at a chart of energy use since 1800s, it explains everything. So what happened in 1800, about 99% of our energy came from biofuels. So basically dried cow dung and lumber. And then we got coal, and then we had oil, and then we have natural gas, and then we have renewables, and we have nuclear, we
Fracking.
have all these things, right? So what you see starting in about the 1950s is the amount of energy we use goes exponential. Now, the global population follows the exact same curve, as does global GDP growth. So you have to come to the conclusion that energy is the economy. And energy is what allows the population to continue to flourish. All right. Well, if you're looking at this through that Malthusian lens, you're saying, okay, at some time in the near future, this resource or these resources that we have access, that's got a flat line. So that means that if the population continues to grow exponentially, the standard of living has to go down. So we need to take it upon ourselves to pull those first two levers to make sure that we buy enough time for renewables to not only replace, see that's a complete misnomer. Renewables can't just replace the existing fossil fuels. They have to add to it, because let's go back to biofuels. Every single time that we get a new energy source that's superior, we don't stop using the last energy source we had. We, in fact, often use more of it. So today, we're using more biofuels than we did in 1800. We're using more coal. We're using more oil. And so those energy sources just grow. And again, that's what allows the population to grow. So the global elite look at this and say, okay, well, we've got to kick the can further down the road to allow renewables to not only replace, but add to the level of energy we have access to right now. So we need to manipulate the global population to use, we need to condition them to use less energy. And then also, if we can lower the birth rate, then we're going to have more energy per capita and we can buy more time. And then I think the fringe benefit there is that if we get into a situation where they're just not able to create enough energy, by conditioning the public to use less, it allows them to use more. So as my good friend Chris Martinson always says, they want you to take a cold shower so they can continue to fly around the world in their private jet. You know, something like this. And so not only do they have this Malthusian view, but they have it's in my opinion, it's borderline eugenics, where a eugenicist believes that there's a group of people that are just superior,
right,
and the rest of those people are just inferior. So if we could just weed out those people that are inferior, that would be better for society long term. So if you think about your typical central planner, right, Marxist, let's say, or socialist, they might not go that extreme, but it's a very similar view that there's a group of people that should be calling the shots for everyone else, because that group of people is just better at making decisions. Mm-hmm. So, what I would suggest, looking at that problem of that exponential growth curve in energy, or a Malthusian view, is I'd say, listen, we need more free market capitalism. Because if we have an extra 2 billion people on Earth, great. That's an extra 2 billion people that can solve these problems that are real. But they can't handle that because in their worldview, they're the smartest people on the planet. So if they can't fix the problem, well, you dumb rubes out there in society can't fix it either. So to make sure that we've got the best chance of fixing this, we need to usurp the power. We need the control. We need the wealth. And it's just for the greater good.
So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another. Or if you want to watch the entire Saucecast, click right here.